What is going on, FA Nation? Jon Impemba here with your Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show for the Monday DraftKings Main Slate. 10 games on tap to kick off the week here. It's a pretty loaded week, actually, with games. Thursday's a bit of a smaller slate day, but pretty much the rest of the week, we have some big slates to get to, so the MLB are really cramming in these games here this week. 10 games starting at 7:07. I think there's even 5 games that are starting at 6 o'clock or 6:30, something like that. So, there's certainly a smaller slate that could be played over on DraftKings here. But as usual, we are going to be focusing here on this 10-game main. It is a solo show here today. Grande will be back for the live show tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So certainly make sure you guys tune in for that. But when we do go solo here on the preview show, it tends to be a bit quicker. So I will do my best to go through each of the top plays as I see it, and then build a core play lineup with you guys at the end, which you can get the completed lineup in the Discord. If you're not yet in the Discord, you can sign up for free by clicking that QR code right there on the screen, or the link in the description of the show will get you in that Discord as well. Starting off at the pitching, Carlos Rodon is your 10K pitcher. He's on the road against the Toronto Blue Jays. Jacob deGrom, Brandon Woodruff, Kodai Senga, George Kirby, and Shane Baz are your 9K pitching tier. Obviously, you look at the guys up top here. We've kind of gone back and forth when it comes to Toronto and their overall splits this season, especially against left-handed pitching. We know that Carlos Rodon has pitched really well. He did recently face Toronto. In Toronto, 5 innings, just 2 earned, 4 strikeouts in that matchup. So not necessarily a lights out start. Last 30 days for Toronto, just a 16% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching. But the rest of the numbers aren't that great. 229 average, 130 ISO, and a 290 WOBA. So they're not striking out, but they're not doing really any damage here either. It's possible Rodon can get a bit of a higher strikeout ceiling in this spot. He did just go 8 innings against the Cubs, striking out 8. So if you're a believer in sort of Toronto's lackluster power production against lefties over the last month or so, maybe Rodon finds himself on your radar. deGrom here gets the A's. Again, you get the A's out of Sacramento. We know that he has shown flashes of being an absolute elite pitcher on the mound. I will certainly have some shares of him in my lineups at $9,800. Again, taking on the A's when they're not in Sutter Health Park, which is essentially a minor league baseball stadium, certainly presents some opportunities here. Second highest strikeout rate in baseball against right-handed pitching for the last month by the A's. However, 198 ISO as well. That is the 6th best mark against right-handed pitching. So a lot of power, a lot of strikeouts when it comes to the Athletics when they are outside of Sutter Health, overall against right-handed pitching rather for the last month. We certainly know deGrom can miss bats here. Has given up 4 homers over the last 3 games. That's a little bit concerning for a guy that we generally don't see give up a lot of runs. But for the most part, it feels like deGrom's probably in a pretty good spot here. Brandon Woodruff, I get it, $9,800, $9,600 rather. I'm not going there. 70 and 81 pitches in his 2 starts. I love the strikeouts that we've seen out of him, but just not really where I want to go. Right-handed pitching last month for Seattle, 199 ISO, just a 21% strikeout rate, a 3rd best batting average against right-handed pitching, 4th best WOBA against right-handed pitching for Seattle. So out on Woodruff here on the road against Seattle. I do like Kodai Senga. Came back from the injured list. 67 pitches, sort of in that tune-up start. 4 shutout, 4 strikeouts. We'll definitely have a longer leash here. Gets the Angels, again, another team that has a pretty high strikeout rate. As we know, they've had it all season long. They also boast a high ISO, a 200 ISO versus right-handed pitching over the last month. But Senga's done a really good job at limiting the general damage against him, a 1.5 ERA on the season. The strikeout numbers should probably carry him there. Kirby at home is always fine. The Shane Baz thing is kind of interesting. Again, a guy that we've seen, really have some up and down outings, but the last 4 outings for him have been really good, and now he draws the White Sox. So $9,000 start here for Shane Baz against the White Sox. Certainly, again, a price tag I don't feel great about, but a price tag I'd probably be willing to pay just given the matchup, knowing that the White Sox are coming into town there. We'll probably have to watch for some weather, too. There is a rain symbol in that game, so we could see some rain potentially in the forecast. So watch there. Not going to go Gossman versus the Yankees. Noah Cameron versus the Cubs. No, thank you. Zach Gallen, a guy that could be on the trade block, got hammered by the Angels in that last start. Had a couple of good starts against the Padres and the Giants before that. Houston without Isaac Paredes. You don't have Jeremy Pena. Kind of a middling team against right-handed pitching for the last month. I probably still don't get the Zach Gallen, but I could see why a case could be made, sort of given where Houston is right now with that lineup. And that Gallen has at least shown a couple of good outings of late, but I mean, really big outliers. 6 innings shutout, 9 Ks, 7 innings, 1 earned, 10 Ks, and then gets blown up by a team that hits a bunch of home runs. So take that at least into consideration. Not going to go Festa. Obviously, it looks like the Dodgers are going with the opener long reliever approach. Jacob Lopez in Texas. Again, we generally don't mind the A's starters when they're outside of Sutter Health. Texas against left-handed pitching. Only a 200 batting average, 107 ISO, and 267 WOBA against left-handed pitching for the last month. So maybe Jacob Lopez at $6,800 finds his way into some lineups. He's been okay. Nothing special, but nothing too terrible either. Surprisingly, the road splits are way worse than they are at home, but I can't imagine that is something that would last for too long. I'll still go Lopez here, even in Texas at 68. Birdsong, Greavy, Elder. I mean, San Francisco's been pretty bad. So's Bryce Elder, though. You probably see people get the Bryce Elder because of how bad San Francisco's been. $6,300 for him coming off of a good start against the A's, 6 2/3, 207 Ks in in Sacramento in that game. So you might actually see some Bryce Elder ownership at $6,300. That is probably it. We do have a Coors Field slate here again. Brazier's opening. So that's probably where we're at. I think I would go Elder, Lopez for some value. Gallen as a mid-tier dart throw. Senga, DeGrom, Rodon spinning up. At the catcher position, again, always go Kyle Raleigh. Ivan Herrera, $5,500 versus a lefty. Again, they're not catching him. They are DHing him in the middle of their lineup at 55 against Gomber. Again, super expensive price tag, but it is Coors Field. Hunter Goodman, same deal. David Festa gives up a lot of power. I believe it's to righties. Let me pull that up here quickly. See if Will Smith could be in our wheelhouse here. David Festa on the year. 447 slugging, 340 WOBA, 1.9 homers to 9 righties. Lefties. Not great numbers for lefties there. Just a 330 slugging, 220 average, 293 WOBA. Righties doing the damage against David Festa here. So maybe Will Smith. Don't mind Drake Baldwin versus Birdsong. Let's see. Oh, they have Ohtani opening there, huh? I forgot about that. So Ohtani's going to go 3 innings in this game, by the way. So keep that in mind for Minnesota. They got to go 3 innings of Ohtani, and then they get Dustin May. Gossman's been really hit or miss. Ben Rice could be in the lineup. I do like Carson Kelly. James McCann has hit lefties fairly well. Kirk hits lefties fairly well. Whichever St. Louis catcher is in the lineup, whether it's Pozo or Pajes, I would give some consideration to just for the Coors Field exposure. Let's see. Salvi Perez. Ryan Brazier's not starting this game, right? Is there not another opener somewhere? You just don't have one listed? Am I missing it? Just doesn't seem like they have one listed, but he's definitely certainly not starting in that. Or he may open, but he's not going to pitch deep in that game. So I'd go Austin Wells. I'd go Salvi Perez. Carantini if you're not in on Gallen. They are calling Francisco Alvarez back up. Maybe give him a look if he's in the lineup against Anderson. But that's probably it. A catcher. First base. Cody Bellinger's 53, the dual positional eligibility. Matt Olson versus Birdsong at 5K. Wilson Contreras and Coors. Aranda versus Burke at 47. I would still play Nick Kurtz. Again, I get DeGrom, but if he's going to give up home runs like he's been 4 in the last 3 games, Kurtz, a lot of power. Let's see. Pasquantino, depending on who's pitching for the Cubs. Mentioned Carantini already. That might be it at first. We'll have to see if there's any more value that opens up, but it's kind of where I'm at the first base position. Second base position, Ketel Marte, assuming he's back in that lineup. Again, he had a bereavement. He was in the lineup. No, hasn't been in the lineup. We'll see if he returns or not. Was reinstated, though. So reinstated, not in the lineup Sunday. I'd imagine he's going to be in the lineup on Monday. Got him against lefty and Colton Gordon. Jazz Chisholm's always in play at 55. Now, St. Louis, a lot of the guys who like to use for St. Louis is a lefty. Gomber is a lefty, but I'm not really going to shy away from a guy like Donovan here, even in that spot. Willie Castro has been good, but not versus the Dodgers there. Semion's been fine. Let's see. Is there a value play that we like? Jonathan India. Kind of a bleak value second base here. I guess we'd have to see if anybody else cracks the lineup before we make those. Like if Mauricio's in the lineup, I'd probably play him at 29. But that might be it, unless something else happens here. Bryce Matthews, is he still there? So DraftKings is really just messing up. I'm clicking Bryce Matthews and it's giving me Mauricio. If Bryce Matthews is in the lineup versus Gallen, I'd give him a look. Third base. Again, can play Jazz here. Definitely like Caminero. A lot of power versus righties. Eugenio Suarez just keeps homering, gets a lefty and Gordon at 52. Arenado back to Coors, 45 against Gomber. Feels like a good spot for him there. Let's see. Ryan McMahon's 39. I'd play him. I guess if Sagaci's in the lineup, 33, because the Coors Field game. That could be it. Colson Montgomery's 25. That might be it for third. Again, we'll see, I guess, if anybody else kind of pops up when we do the live show at 5 o'clock or not in the official starting lineups. Shortstop, Bobby Witt, Lindor, Nato, Seager. I literally play them all. No qualms. Mason Wynn at 46, I'm good with. Mookie Betts has been bad, but as I mentioned, Festa's struggling versus righty, so maybe it's a get right spot for Mookie. I like Perdomo at 43 as well. Jacob Wilson, again, a tough matchup, but I'd still be willing to give him a look. Guy doesn't strike out all that much. Danzy versus lefty, Noah Cameron's 38. Let's see. Tovar's in Coors, 34. It's a good price on Tovar. Has some power, has some speed. That's probably it at short until we get some official lineups. Which takes us to the outfield. Judge, of course, in play. Ohtani, of course, in play. Acuna. I'm good going with the Cubs lefties, even against Noah Cameron here. Same thing with Corbin Carroll and Juan Soto. Totally fine, even with lefties on the mound. Definitely in on Seiya. Josh Lowe's good. Again, Burleson. We'll see if he's in the lineup or not versus lefty, but wouldn't shy away from any of the Cardinals plays here. Chandler Shipson's been unbelievable. I like him at 45. Obviously, we know Rosarina's been pretty good. Let's see. Back against McGreevy. Wyatt Langford's good at 43 against Lopez. Moniak's been really good. Homered on Sunday. 41 for him. He hit leadoff in that game. I like Mickey Moniak there in Coors. Teoscar's 4K. Again, righties versus Festa has been the one doing the damage. So you got a 4K Teoscar. Hernandez. I don't mind that one. Lourdes versus lefty at 4K as well. Jason Dominguez, 39. Pajes, again, a righty versus Festa at 38. Grisham, 38, if he's in the lineup versus Gossman. Let's see. Doyle's fine. Cam Smith's 3,500 against Gallen. I would play Cam Smith. Talented player. Play him for the talent. Let's see. Bader's been great, but I'm not going to hit him against the Dodgers there. That might be it for Valley. Conforto's 28. Again, just a punt Dodger play. That's probably it. Caglione had a double and 2 RBI. Back-to-back games with a hit. Maybe he's starting to wake up. Cheap price tag for him. So, all right, that's a look at the slate here. Again, we're going to go live again at 5 p.m., break it all down for you guys with some official lineups, news, notes, and weather updates. So make sure you stay tuned. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button on the FantasyAlarm YouTube channel. You'll get notified when we go live when you do so. Building out the example core lineup here. Again, I think there's some good spots for us to attack kind of in this range. I'm kind of buying into the Bryce Elder value. If we do Bryce Elder and let's go Bryce Elder and DeGrom, that's 4,200. I'm going to go back to the Dodgers. This did not work when I did the solo show on Friday. The Dodgers got blanked by Quinn Priester. Though, to be fair, when I did the preview show, it showed Jose Quintana. Not that really fared out too much better, but, I would go back. 4K for Teoscar. It's a cheap price. It just really is. It's a cheap price tag. Suarez. I mean, he's so good right now. And you get Gordon. 52. Let's see, where's our value? If we go, I'm sure one of these catchers for let's do Pajes. That's 4,200. Again, the problem is they're all lefties that are like in that Cards lineup that we would gravitate towards usually. Which makes this a little bit harder, especially at their price points. Let's see though. For 11 games, this kind of feels like some tough matchups. I do like a Ronda versus Burke. I feel like I need to get Wilson Contreras though in the lineup just for the cores exposure. This probably puts me on like Mason Wynn at 46. Again, it feels like you're losing money playing Mason Wynn at shortstop when there's like this group, and even Mookie Betts, who I understand hasn't been good, but Fest has been bad. Probably have to go win though. So that gives us Pajes, Contreras, and Win $3,800. There's just so many left. Like, what's their lineup versus lefties look like? Jordan Walker. Talk about a guy that just never became what many thought he would be. I mean, real Arenado. I guess that's where we go. I guess you go Arenado. That gives you 41. $41. Your second base is still kind of a tough. I mean, what was our punt options down here? It's the wrong split for Conforto. Just like trust Cags, just punt Cags and hold the back-to-back days with a hit, like unlock something there. If we did Caglione, just as a punt play, because there's really not. I guess Grichuk will be in the lineup. Double donged the other day. We did a 3K Grichuk. It's $4,650 for a second base and outfielder. So Elder, DeGrom, Pajes, Contreras, Arenado, Wynn, Teoscar, Grichuk, second base, outfield with $4,650 left. So that's the preview show example lineup. We'll go live again at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Myself and James Grande will do it all over again with the latest news and lineup notes, and we'll be there to answer your questions. I appreciate you tuning in here with that solo show. Love to know what you think in the comment section. Good luck with your research. Find us in the Discord. We'll talk to you later.